Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have even more news coming out over here when it comes to these really big court cases. And this is kind of funny because we keep on seeing these almost kind of somewhat demeaning type words and statements coming out from all these big lawyers and big businesses, and basically Xbox himself is basically admitting that PlayStation itself is a little bit better. And it's kind of funny too, because I think PlayStation is kind of playing that same exact route, because we made a video on this as of yesterday, where even PlayStation is trying to be like, hey, we can't beat Xbox, we can't beat Call of Duty, so now we're once again now kind of flipping the script, saying that Xbox is basically saying, nah, PlayStation's is better, they're getting better sales, the games are overall better, we're kind of slacking. And it's kind of funny too because both of these sides are arguing really hardcore for the monopoly. Like a lot of this big monopoly talk on the PlayStation, Overwatch, and all this put together. And it's funny because both sides are trying to make that seem like they're not both multi-billion-dollar companies, and that somehow, some way, some shape, and form, they're somehow kind of slacking. And it's kind of funny because I think we all collectively know this, that they are, well, doing pretty good. So let's go talk about the fact that Xbox is basically saying PlayStation is better right after PlayStation said that Xbox was better. Let's go do a little deep dive in all this as well. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway, Xbox Series X giveaway, or $500 cash. You get to pick and choose. All you do is hit the little sub button. If you guys want your bonus entries, use that Twitter link down below, or follow up on Twitch as well. We also do have all the brand new sales too. There's a lot of Black Friday sales going on Amazon, link down below. Same with the console, same with Target. Let's dive into it. So as I mentioned, we've been seeing a lot more information coming out from these ongoing court battles when it comes to all these legal registrations in the UK, in Saudi Arabia, in America. And now, as I mentioned, a lot of these companies are trying their best to kind of downplay what they're doing. They're trying to be like Xbox, being like, hey, we got no good games. Let us get Call of Duty. Our single-player games are absolute dog. Like, come on, Judge, come on. And then PlayStation's trying to be like, yeah, we may have got some good, those really good single-player games. Sure, Judge, sure. But Call of Duty be selling billions of dollars, has 400 million users. We just can't go and compete. It's going to cost millions upon billions of dollars for us to maybe get a studio. And even then, what if it flops? What if we waste all that money? Then we can't spend that on our actual one good product, of making good single player games. And basically, they're trying their best to convince the judge on both sides that their side is the weaker cause. So right now we have an article from Kotaku going a little bit more of a deeper dive into this, where it does say that Xbox admits that the PlayStation exclusives are actually just better quality. Microsoft shared this information as part of the UK's investigation into the Activision Blizzard merger. So in its latest written response into the UK's Competition and Markets Authority of the CMA Group, Microsoft uses a lot of data to show that its buying of a beleaguered publisher, Activision Blizzard, isn't going to somehow hurt either Sony or Nintendo. In fact, as its bizarre frenzy of self-negging continues, it suggests that the deal will actually help the publisher compete with these game companies. As part of this argument, Microsoft admits that PlayStation has a better exclusives, giving a ton of annoying console fanboys more ammo in their never-ending console war to go and show how much they love their favorite plastic box. And I kind of find that kind of funny, because it is kind of true. Now, it's kind of always been the same debate back and forth ever since these last 2 years of consoles being announced. I'm one of those folks, you go and play whatever console you want. But it's crazy to go and say that Xbox self-admittedly, on record, on court document, on public, is basically being like, hey, Nintendo has better exclusives, Sony has better exclusives, give us something. Let us have the good multiplayer, we had the Halo back in the day, give us something. And it's kind of crazy too, because it is kind of true. As you guys have seen, God of War have sold astronomically good copies. It's done phenomenally well. When it comes to Nintendo too, they sell pretty good. You think the Mario carts, you think Mario parties, you think Mario itself, Breath of the Wild, the brand new Breath of the Wild coming out. They do have some really good single player exclusives. And I think Microsoft has a chance, we'll see with Starfield and other games, but it's kind of true. I almost feel like Xbox should just go hit the niche of being that big multiplayer console or online, because it make a lot of sense. So basically, as Microsoft continues to determine attempts to consume Activision Blizzard via its massive $70 billion acquisition, it keeps running into pesky governments and regulators who seem to think that maybe, just maybe, one of the biggest tech companies on the planet should be allowed to buy up one of the biggest video game publishers in history. And I think if this was only Xbox, that'd be fine. I think the deal would pass. But it is true, because Microsoft is one of the biggest companies in the entire world, worth trillions of dollars. So as a result of this pushback, Microsoft and Xbox have spent most of this year, dancing from the courtrooms to hearings to regulatory committees, trying to paint the picture that Xbox is somehow a small brand with barely any sales and no real power compared to Nintendo and Sony. Now, I kind of disagree on this a decent bit. I would probably say, though, that PlayStation is stronger in terms of single-player games and sales. Same with Nintendo. But I do think that Xbox has a big monopoly when it comes to Game Pass, and it is a little bit on the harder side to go and justify. I still think this deal should kind of go through, though. But I'd be more worried about the next 5, 10, 15 years and how that affect all the other gaming sides. So this latest attempt, it came via the newly released documents from the UK these past few days. In the docs, Microsoft argues that Sony and Nintendo have better quality exclusives that outsell its own first-party games, which is actually probably undoubtedly true, like I just mentioned on the games before. Found deep in the fairly long document released yesterday on the CMA's website, Microsoft includes a section where it suggests that even if it were to make Call of Duty an Xbox exclusive franchise, although it does not want to, we're still not sure exactly though how, it wouldn't matter anyway because Sony and Nintendo just have better selling, higher quality exclusives of their own. In subsection 3.67, titled, Sony has more exclusive games than Microsoft, many of which are better quality, which is it's like a self-oof right there. Xbox says that exclusivity deals are not uncommon in video games, and that Sony has some of its own great exclusive games like The Last of Us and God of War. Both Sony and Nintendo's exclusive first-party games rank among the best selling in Europe and as well worldwide, explained Microsoft, probably staring at its shoes while it pulls its empty pant pockets. Current Sony exclusive content includes prominent first-party titles such as The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, and Spider-Man. In addition to having outright exclusive content, Sony has also entered into arrangements with third-party publishers, which then require the exclusion of Xbox from the set of platforms these publishers can distribute their games on. Now, I think that's kind of lame, though, because I feel like if Xbox is open, at the same time PlayStation's open, it almost just makes like the games better. But at the same time, I mean, if they have Game Pass and trying to get exclusivity on Game Pass, Sony does need to do something in return, which does make a lot of sense. But right now, it does seem like basically Xbox is trying their best to play like the small boy syndrome. Like, hey, we're not backed by Microsoft. Hey, we got some games in Game Pass, but like we're not churning billions of dollars. Hey, like we got like 10 million console sales, but Sony has 25 million. And it kind of does make sense because it all is all true. But at the same time, it's kind of like, if you go and somehow drop another, like, let's say $30 billion, because they just got Bethesda, they're going to get this Call of Duty, Overwatch, all these World of Warcraft, etc. Guess what? At some point, it's hard to compete. And it was like the only kind of, I guess, workaround would maybe be Sony coming in and trying to buy like an EA or Ubisoft just to expand their pool or have proper connections with them. And even then, that's kind of hard to go justify because it's a lot of money to buy those companies. And a lot of them already work with Xbox. So I'm kind of torn because I would actually really like to hear your thoughts down below. Because it is weird. Like PlayStation and Nintendo are technically bigger. They are technically better. They do technically have better exclusives. But when it comes to Xbox, they got the money, they got the Microsoft backing, and this Game Pass thing, if it's kind of left uncontempted, could probably go and take over the gaming universe. Now, I am a Game Pass sub most of the time when games are good, so I don't really have that many big complaints with Game Pass getting games, although if I was only a PlayStation 5 or only a Switch user, I can maybe see that being a little bit of a struggle. I think at the end of the day, I think PC users just win the most, though, because they want to get into the PC market. So basically, what they're saying is Microsoft is arguing that it will never make Call of Duty a console-exclusive franchise, which still has not happened yet, because they only gave them a 7-year contract from the most recent leaks, while also arguing that if it did do that, it wouldn't matter anyway, because the game isn't really that important to Sony or Nintendo. A lot of the company's response to the CMA's investigation revolves around downplaying Call of Duty's importance, but once again, Sony before, and we talked about this in another video, Sony's basically trying their best to be like, hey, no, it's like making a lot of money and no other game is even coming close. We really can't lose this advantage. But at the same time, if like Xbox is trying to spend like $70 billion, it's kind of hard to go and say no. So basically they're saying it's not a unique game, as pointing towards fan polls and reviews that show that all the other games such as Battlefield or Halo just aren't as good. And so goes on the Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, King merger saga. The CMA, as well as other groups and regulators, will continue poking and investigating with all this information, all these comments, and all these statements, and having to read these huge court documents, and going from there, while Sony's trying their best to be like, no, 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 this is a big deal. So at least we do have on record stating, funny enough, that Xbox does say that their games are a little bit worse than both the Switch and PlayStation, and I want to hear your thoughts and comments down below. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, or $500 giveaway. We also have all the Amazon links for all the Black Friday deals going on that we saw and recommended, Twitter and Twitch stream as well down below if you guys want those bonus entries on the giveaways, and Target links and all the other Weeble Amazon links too down below.